You've received a DEP 3-day notice violation for a leaking water main. You want to know why you received the notice and what happens if the water main leak is not actually coming from your pipe. First thing, it's important to understand the reasons that you would get a 3-day notice. A few of the most common reasons would be, number one, if there's water leaking in the street. Maybe your neighbor called, maybe someone from the DOT realized, maybe you have low water pressure and you called the city questioning why. Number two would be if there's water entering either your neighbor's home or maybe another utility in the roadway. They were working and they've become aware that there's water entering and the DEP has diagnosed and determined that it's your pipe that's actually leaking. First, let's understand what the DEP did to test and determine that it's your pipe that's leaking. Most commonly, they'll use a device called a sonoscope. It's essentially like a stethoscope a doctor would use to check your heart. They put the sonoscope on the pipe and they listen. The theory is if there's no running water in the house, the water should be sitting and the pipe should be completely silent. Now, if nobody's using water in the house, they use the sonoscope to the pipe and they hear running water. That means that there's water escaping the pipe somewhere in between your main control valve in your house out to the street. That's a very common and probably the most common sign that it's your pipe that's leaking. But still not 100% accurate. They have a 99% accuracy ratio. So what happens now, you hire your licensed plumber, they start digging in the street, and they actually determine that your pipe is not leaking. It's coming from another source, or maybe it's a city water main that's leaking. The licensed plumber should know to call DEP right away. We all have a direct line or a direct email to notify them that there's a 3-day notice that's been issued in error. Typically, one of the field supervisors will show up within 30 minutes to an hour. They'll confirm that it's not your pipe that's leaking, and they'll rescind the 3-day notice. They'll tell the homeowner, we're sorry, the 3-day notice was issued in error and is no longer your problem. Now it's up to DEP to investigate and determine where the water is actually coming from. Now, what about you as the homeowner and getting your money reimbursed? That's the big question. What do I do now? Let's talk a little bit about the city reimbursement process. The city controller's office actually has a form just for this purpose. It's a pretty straightforward form. You're going to fill out a questionnaire-like paper detailing exactly what happened. You're going to note who your licensed plumber was on the job, and the city controller's office will then actually contact your licensed plumber. They would ask us a few details on exactly what we did, how many holes we made, did we make a hole in the street, did we make a hole in the sidewalk, did we install any pipe, where was the water leak, did you actually have to restore the asphalt and the cement, in addition to a bunch of other questions. Now, surprising to most property owners, the city actually will reimburse you for all of the money that you paid to the contractor. I know most people think it's never going to happen, I've lost my money, I'm out of my money. Never once have we had one of our customers come back and tell us the city never reimbursed me. Now be patient, it definitely takes some time, it's going to take some back and forth. They're going to follow up with the licensed plumber a few times, but I promise you, you are going to get reimbursed for the total amount paid out to the plumber. If you're experiencing a similar scenario, you're not sure what to do, or you're unclear of any of the details included in this video, really important, call your licensed plumber, explain what's going on. It's suggested to actually have a meeting on site at your house and have the licensed plumber further evaluate, and at that stage can even give his professional opinion on what he thinks regarding the 3-day notice.